Hey everyone, good to see you all again. My name is Kendra.
I'm Dan.
Dan. We're here at the Boyertown Museum, and this is a brand new web series. We're going to call it a web series because that's really what it is.
Okay. Like Charlotte's Web?
Maybe the kids won't enjoy it as much as Charlotte's Web, but
they should.
So hopefully you're joining us here for this new kind of retooled motor mouth. And you know, we've been gone from the airwaves a little bit, but we're back, and we have a lot of stuff in the Boyertown Museum to talk about, a lot of transportation history. We better get started. But first, just so you all know, the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles is located in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, 85 South Walnut Street. And we are open to the public, and we have got some great stuff here. If you want to learn more about our hours, our fees, please visit our website, www.boyertownmuseum.org. You can find all that information, how to get here, what events are coming up, and you can find links to some of our other online content and our other TV show that we do on Berks Community Television. So visit our website, you'll see lots of cool stuff. So here on Motor Mouth, we're going to take, I don't know, every time we're going to find something in this museum that's really cool, give you a up-close view, or maybe sometimes we'll talk about
whatever we feel like
cool
talking about. Yeah.
From our automotive past. And Dan, you're always so good at finding these cool things. No, you are. Don't give me that look.
Okay.
About finding cool, unusual stuff, but also telling us a little bit more about what's actually here at the museum. So what is on your mind today?
Okay, I am going to be talking about this car right here. This is a 1909 Middleby.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful car.
I talked about these back in 2011. 9 years ago on our other TV show in Berks County. And, you know, and so I like revisiting things because I'm sure you're the same way I am. You can do something and then you go back and visit it and you thought, wow, I now know even more information. Or sometimes you have a better way of researching it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, in 2011, did I really understand Google Books and Hathy Trust and all those great online research tools? And you also kind of get to know more people to ask.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to be talking about this vehicle right here and the company that made it. Okay, this is Middleby. Out of Reading, Pennsylvania, good old Reading, as in most of the vehicles in here, which are pretty much Pennsylvania, you know.
Mostly.
We have a few exceptions, but, you know, but anyway. Middleby Automobile Company, founded in 1908. The first car was 1909, so this was from the first year right here.
I did not know that, actually.
I didn't either. In fact, I had it on my notes, and, you know, and these notes have been around for a while, and then it was just this afternoon I say, hey, wait a minute. This is from the first year of manufacture.
Wow.
So they were in production from 1909 to 1913. So we got, that would be 5 years altogether.
That's actually pretty good for some of the early car companies.
There was about 400 cars that they made a year. So that comes roughly to 2,000 for the whole total. We know 3 of them. Okay, and if I remember to say it, hopefully I'll refer to both of them in a minute or two. Anyway, the Middleby, it was a family. It was Charles, Harry, and Joseph. Let's see, Joseph was the father, Harry and Charles were the sons, and they came up with the company. And they were in Connecticut, and they decided they wanted to look for a place to manufacture cars. So they came down to Reading. They bought the old Dorrier company, and they bought the equipment and everything and started building cars.
I knew there was a Dorrier connection
Yeah.
there, but I had forgotten. See, this is a company I don't know much about, so this is
Yeah.
lot of
So
new
this is
stuff
all
to
new
me.
for
It
you.
is,
Okay.
yeah.
So anyway, this is 1909 Middleby. This is our Middleby. That's the way I
Yes.
have it written right here.
Yes.
Our Middleby. Okay. Now I mentioned there's two others. One of them used to be in Connecticut. It was used to be that was really nice. I saw it in a guy's garage, and actually I understand that's in I think South or North Dakota now. And then there's another one in Luray Cavern Museum
Yes.
down in Virginia. Okay.
Yes. And it's still there.
Really? Okay.
Of just a week or two ago, a relative of one of our staff people visited Luray, and they sent a photo
It's
of
Luray.
it. Luray. Sorry.
Yeah, that's how they pronounce it
Get
down
mad at
there.
me.
Yeah.
Luray. Okay.
Yeah, Luray. Okay. Which is really neat. I went down there and saw it, and it's nice, bright red.
Red.
I mean, bright.
It's red, like
Okay.
candy apple red.
And with white tires on it, and the thing really kind of jumps
Yeah.
out. So, yeah.
Ours is more sophisticated.
More
Navy,
sophisticated.
Yeah.
Now, if it's the same model of ours, and actually all three of the ones that are known, they're all the same model, basically a two-seater roadster, I guess, with the rumble seat. I'm not sure what you call this. They called it a runabout. This is a Model A. It cost $850 brand new. Now, these other two Middlebys are out there compared to this one. If you wanted to get one of these, the body of it was red. The fenders were black, and the running gear, I think that was black too. That might have been red, I forget now. But the one that was in Connecticut was painted correctly. This obviously is not the original paint on it. So, yeah, there are some things that are different on this, like
Yes.
the firewall. But anyway, a lot of interesting things about this. Is a 4-cylinder air-cooled engine. Air-cooled they were kind of different. We're not talking about a Volkswagen engine or anything, but one of the things that makes these different is the exhaust on it. And it has 2 exhaust ports per cylinder. And we kind of were wondering about that and did some research and found out that one of the exhaust ports was to scavenge the exhaust to make it more efficient. Now you have 2 exhaust ports. You also have 2 exhausts going all the way out in the back. One of them has a muffler, and that was interesting too, because the muffler, if you can picture a muffler in your mind, you think of a kind of metal tube with the exhaust coming in one side and going out the other. Except where it goes out, there's a little valve, a spring-operated valve there that was closed. I'm thinking that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with this? And then we found out there's a little pedal here. You push down on that opens the valve. You think, well, why would you be driving with your foot on this little pedal? And then I did some research. The brand name of the muffler is Kingston. If you're into Model Ts, you know Kingston carburetors were on Model Ts, Fords, and same company. And what this was is your exhaust would go into here, and there was a row of small holes on the outside of the cylinder, your muffler cylinder, and that's your normal exhaust will go there. You want a little more speed, you hit the pedal here, you open that little valve, and it's just straight through exhaust. So
Soup it up a little.
Yeah, super. Well, a lot of times in these cars from back then, you know, if we went through here, I would say probably half of them have a little cutout. That's what they were called, a little cutout valve to make it go faster. And if you didn't have one, you look in the old magazines from back then, they had a lot of advertisements where you could put these cutouts in your exhaust. So good aftermarket thing. Okay. We think of a car today and you have to get oil in it, in the engine, you know, you have your crankcase or your oil pan has, you know, several quarts of oil in it, and there's a little oil pump and it circulates through the engine and drains down. Well, they didn't have it in this. What it was is you have a little box, and hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, but it's Levine, and it was an oiler. And
I couldn't say Luray, so
no,
don't
okay.
ask me about Levine.
Yeah, well, I think it's a French name. It's not a French
okay.
company, but a French
Yep.
name. And anyway, that had a little pump in it, and it had several tubes coming out and goes to different parts of the engine, and it would just drain, and you have to fill it all the time. And so that's how that was. And you could, each tube, you could adjust the amount of oil you did. And I think our Doria, one of our Dorias has a similar system, but instead of a box that's the reservoir, it's a glass case right there, and you can actually see.
Yes, I know exactly what you're
I think
talking
that
about.
only has one tube coming out.
Okay.
I think that's called total loss. In other words, it just ran down the street, kept the dust down.
I guess. Every little bit helps back
The
then.
rear axle on these things was made by a company called Standard Roller Bearing Company out of Philadelphia. Now, it's just another company, local, that did it. But they were the American licensee, did I say that right?
Sure.
For Rudge Whitworth wire wheels. Say that one
No.
quick, okay? We have a car in here with Rudge Whitworth, and
wire
that was
wheels.
kind of a high-end wire wheel company in England, but they had different licensees for different countries. And I understand, I read this once, it's not in my notes, this is off of memory, that the person in France that had the license for Rudge Whitworth wire wheels was the guy who started the Le Mans race.
Oh.
And the one in Italy, he continued on, and I don't know if it's a name change or a company got bought or sold or something, but it sort of evolved into Barani wire wheels, which were used in Ferraris and such, like in the 60s, maybe 70s. So it's kind of interesting, you know, just one name, and you just kind of, you know, connect dots.
It branches out into all these other things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The wheels on this are interesting, too, and these are Middleby wheels. And now I've talked about them, I don't know if it's on this show or the other show, okay? And Middleby wheels, kind of a demountable wheel, but if you see on this wheel here, all the way at the bottom, this little connection here, you put a wrench in there, and there was a little, like a worm gear type thing. And as you turn the wrench, it would split it open, and you could pull the whole tire off the wheel. So this is basically a locking ring on here. And they were kind of unique. But what is even more unique about Middleby is they made a type of tire, they patented a tire that if you look at it, looked like a spring in it, okay? You think of like a ballpoint pen, the little spring that's in it,
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
And it'd be embedded in here going all the way around. And of course it would wear out pretty quick.
Well, yeah.
So now you got like all these hundreds of thousands of little sharp points here sticking up. It was better traction though. That's the way they advertised it, better traction.
Yeah, as your tire wears out, we have all these
And
pointy things coming out.
Middleby, the son of the guy who invented these he worked for General Motors, and he's the guy who came up with like putting lead into gasoline so it'd be better. And he's like the enemy of the environmentalist.
Wasn't a good
I
idea
saw
anymore, huh?
that term used, the enemy, yeah. So anyway, there's another connection for you. So yeah, and there was another thing with this, and all these little things keep coming up, and I thought it was so great. The drive shaft on this, I saw, it didn't call it a drive shaft, they called it a cardan shaft. I'm thinking, what is a cardan shaft? Well, that's what that was another name. That was an early name. And I looked.
I never heard that before.
No, I didn't either until I was looking at this. And cardan was named after a guy, and I did have his name, but it's not on here now. I believe he's an Italian, and so the name is, cardan is just shortened. And he was a guy who was an inventor and painter and musician. He did all these things back like in the 1700s. And he did all these things, and that was not just a drive shaft, but with the universal. So, yeah, kind of interesting stuff there. Huh. Okay. So, that's that. One last thing about these. 56-inch, they make a big deal about it having a 56-inch tread. So it's from the center of this tire to the center of the other tire, okay? So you make a track down the road 56 inches, okay? I looked up and like between like 1908 and 1915 in that era, a lot of cars, most cars had 56-inch treads, plus or minus a half an inch or so. And it was interesting, some cars, and I was telling you about this the other week, some cars had an option where you could get 60-inch tread, and they sold them to the people in the South. And the reason being is the not carriages, but the hay wagons and stuff had 60-inch tread in the South, and they made the ruts in the road. And if you had a 56-inch, you couldn't be riding them. So 60, you'd go right in the tread. And that went on to like the mid-teens, and then roads starting to get better and stuff.
Yeah.
And
it makes you wonder why in the South they needed.
Well, tune into a future show because I already got a page of notes on that stuff.
You learned?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And actually, I found some really cool stuff about that. It's kind of interesting stuff, but yeah, and
Isn't
it's
that crazy?
just, yeah. And by the way, remember I said I was here on Friday measuring the wheelbase on these cars here? I measured the tread on every car that fit in those years, walked all around.
And it fit?
Everything's 56 inches plus or minus a little bit. So.
Well, and the roads were so bad you wanted to drive in those ruts.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was safer.
Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much about the 1909 Middleby. In 1910, they decided they'd make a companion car, and that was called a Reading automobile. They were water-cooled engines. Oh, I got to say also, in 1911, Middleby got rid of the air-cooled engines, and it's interesting because in early advertising they're saying how great the air-cooled engines are, and you don't have to worry about it freezing and so on and so forth. But then they abandoned it, 2 years into their production and went to water-cool. But the Reading car, Reading brand name, that had the water-cooled engines its whole life. Okay, that went from 1910 to 1913. So Charles, who was like in charge of the company, Charles Middleby, he thought the family's namesake should be the best car. So the Middleby was the top of the line. The Reading was like a little standard, a little bit less. And anyway, went to 1913. They were out of business, October of 13. Charles died somewhere in that year, and so the whole company kind of fell apart. They were sold to a company out in Massachusetts. They were auctioneers for defunct automobile companies. Now, I've read some stuff about some other car companies. I remember reading about our Dragon and the company that bought up all its assets down in Philadelphia, I believe it was. And they just sold all the parts to whoever, whether it's spare parts for people having cars already or just selling parts to other companies.
Machinery?
But, well, that's the thing is for the Middleby, everything was sold to this J.E. Conant and Company out of Massachusetts, auctioneers of defunct manufacturing companies. They then announced that they were going to sell everything to, they were going to export all the machinery. Where it went, I don't know, but maybe there's going to be another episode. I don't know.
Gotta track it down.
Maybe it was to Lanches.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it was. And I don't know.
Expensive to export machinery.
And I don't know if like some unfinished cars were exported also, and where did they export them to? Could have went to Canada. It could have went to who knows where. So that's pretty much the Middleby.
Well, you said the ones that we know of are all the same body style. Is this the only body style they made?
No, they made a whole slew of them. Oh, not a whole slew, but they made, I think there was 3 different body styles in 1909. And I did have them here. Oh, here they are. Model A, Model B, Model C. So this is a runabout. Then they had a Surrey. I'm not quite sure what a Surrey is. All I can think of is Surrey with a fringe on top.
So I think when you're talking about carriages, I thought a Surrey had a top, but I don't think that's true. I think a Surrey is 2 seats of 2.
Yeah, because
So-
it says 4 passenger.
Okay.
And then they had a touring car, which is 5 passenger, which
Okay.
would probably be the back seat had 3,
Yeah,
enough room for
yeah.
3. So,
Interesting.
and another little thing that you don't think of also, it wasn't in this car, this style of car, but the other 2 had them. They said ironed for top. Okay, and I thought,
Oh.
well, what's that mean? And if you look around, some of the older cars have it, but they'll have like little iron fittings, like here and here, and
Like a little
they-
circle,
like a little
ring.
socket
Yeah.
that you'd put the top in, and so they made a big deal about that. Well, not a big deal, but they advertised that
As an extra.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you can put a roof on our car.
Yeah.
Or instead, you had this, no windshield, no
Nothing.
roof,
You're just flying free.
yeah. No radio, no USB port.
No dashboard
matter?
clock.
No. So anyway, so there we go. We got this car.
Very cool.
All right.
Yeah, so now you've learned more about this car than you'll have learned just by coming and reading the signs. So there's too much to fit on the signs.
Yeah.
So we always find extra stuff.
And I have to tell you, I had 4 pages of notes on this car. And I shrunk it down to
Yeah.
1.5 pages. And then for tonight, I have 1 page, big lettering.
Yeah.
So I can
It's
have
hard.
everything.
We find so much
Yeah.
stuff.
And I'm sure there's more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There'll be more shows.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for our first episode of our web version of Motor Mouth. And we will see you next time.